Hello and welcome to the Single Girl's Guide to Life, your weekly guide to single life living in your 20s and 30s. I'm Chantelle the coach, a core to life and confidence coach, helping women to embrace their single life, to make the most of dating or not dating, of living alone, making the most of your friendships and just enjoying your life no matter what's going on in it right now with the different circumstances that you're in. And this week's episode is a very important episode because this is about Valentine's Day. I know some of you don't want to hear that. You don't want to talk about it. It's not fun. It's one of those days that reminds you that you're not in a relationship. And this is really difficult when you are single, but you would prefer not to be. And it's completely okay to have that mismatch of knowing that being single isn't a problem, but you can still want to be in a relationship. It can still be something that you want to desire, you want to happen. But at the same time, it's really important for us to address what we can do about that in the moment, and also remind yourself of the importance of what you're doing if you are trying to be in a relationship, or if you just don't like the mass love and coupleness that's all around you during that time, then it's just a time for how you can focus on yourself in that time. And everybody's in a different scenario with this. Sometimes it might be that it reminds you of when you were in a relationship. That's hard. Or if you are divorced, of marriage, what you would have done on those Valentine's days, the same as anniversaries. And there's an episode for that if you need to go back and listen to that. It might also be your first Valentine's Day alone, whether that's taken nearly a year to come round or if it's quite fresh. And it is one of the first trigger points of you not being the one to look through messages or be reminded of the relationship for any other reason. But naturally, it's being brought up because this is a national, global event, a celebration of love and coming together in relationships. So when you're single, you can feel really on the outskirts of this because it is a sole day for love. But there are some ways to turn it on its head, and there are some things that you can do to remind yourself that you are on the right path and that single life is worth embracing whilst you can, even if it's not where you want to be right now. Let's stick with that point to begin with, because ultimately, you are single for whatever reason. You haven't found the right person for you yet. The reality of it is, though, is that you could be in a relationship if you really wanted to. The thing is that you don't just want to be with anyone. You want to be with someone that is a right match for you. They offer you something that adds to your life. They meet some of the needs that you have, the wants that you're looking for, and your values have some crossover. If you wanted to go out on a date and find someone to be with, I reckon a number of you could do that within a few moments' time by jumping on an app, going on a few dates, and just committing to the first person that you came across, regardless of attraction, values, common interests, compatibility. The reason some of us are still single is because we do have standards. And I'm not saying people that are in a relationship don't have those standards. Woo, they probably went through that process too. The point is that you could do something about this if all you wanted was to be in a relationship. If that was the basic of it, I just want to be in a relationship, you could go out there and sort it. The reason that you don't is because you value and hold yourself high enough not to accept the bare minimum from anyone. You want there to be a click. You want there to be someone to grow with. You want there to be someone that fits in and complements your life. And it isn't just all about them. It's about you, them, and then you guys together. And that doesn't always happen. There are many unsuitable candidates out there for people that are single right now. But if you've been reading The Unexpected Joy of Being Single along with the book club, then you will know, according to the stats that were around at the time of Catherine Gray writing that, 50% of the population are single. There are single people out there. But there is a reason that you won't just be with anyone, because you know that you want more than that and that you matter more than that. So as Valentine's Day comes around, it can feel like a sense of jealousy comes in. Maybe your self-worth drops a little bit because you're like, why is there no one with me right now? The point is that you could be if you wanted to, but you don't because you hold that standard high enough for yourself. And there are so many other reasons as well. It's not just that, but if we had to talk about things that are within our control, we can't control if we haven't met the person that we might end up being with for a long time, marrying even, creating a family with yet. If they haven't come into our timeline yet, then there's nothing we can do about that, and we don't know where they are. But the reality is if you wanted to put it into your own hands and make it happen, then you could if you wanted to. The other thing is to remember that you don't have to be on dating apps to create opportunities, but we know that that does create a number of opportunities to meet new people, regardless of romantic intention or not. It is one of the only ways to meet new people unless you constantly move jobs. And so that's another thing that's within your control. When we find ourselves in a position where we're feeling a lack and that we're behind or we're not where we want to be, we can only look realistically at the things that are within our control. One is that we could accept any old date and we're not going to do that. Two is that we have to be putting ourselves out there. If that's something that you are looking to do, you have to endure some of the dating apps. I know they're not fun. I know they're not your favourite because they can be god awful at times. But I do know people that have had success with that. And just because it didn't last forever doesn't mean it's not a success either. So if that's something that, Valentine's Day is coming at you with as like I need to get my butt in gear, then use it as that. Because people are going to be thinking about it around that time. Much like January is the busiest time for dating apps because people have just got through Christmas and been like, oh, it would be really nice to be with someone, start off the new year, etc. I imagine Valentine's Day is pretty much the same because it comes all about you all at once. If you haven't spotted the cards in the shops yet, well, I have. That's what first reminded me that it was coming up, really. It wasn't something I was thinking about. And maybe as single people, we don't necessarily, unless it becomes evident to us through our friends talking about it. It's on a Monday this year. How great is that? Means it's not affecting the weekend per se. There'll be couples out either side of that, the weekend before and the weekend after. But ultimately, it is not on a key day that interferes with us so much. Just be wary if you're going out on those weekends to be prepared. Because there are some power moves that you can really play here. If you really wanted to own Valentine's Day as a single person, you are going to book yourself a meal on that Monday. You're going to go out, you're going to treat yourself to a solo date, and you're going to go to one of the restaurants that couples might book, but you're going to book it for yourself. That would be one incredibly empowering way to own Valentine's Day. To really say, here's two fingers to you and everybody. And it's not that you're doing it in the face of love because you might truly believe in that and the idea of partnership. But right now, you're single. And that's okay. We have to remember that Valentine's Day is but a day that has been named, probably historically, for some reason. I can't remember why. I probably have looked that up and know that from some lesson back at school. The reality is that if you are in a relationship, love should be being celebrated every single day. And it should not just be kept for the 14th of February each year. If I thought that I was going to get into a relationship and the only day we were going to celebrate was anniversaries and Valentine's Day, I would have big problems with that, because to me, love isn't grand, over-the-top gestures. Love is a consistent reliability and showing up and being there all the time. So Valentine's Day might even not be a thing for you because, yes, it's nice to do it, to make a thing, but at the same time, what does love really mean to you? And there's the episode I haven't revisited yet as to what is love, because I still go into different depths of that and the understanding behind it. But it's the idea of what does Valentine's Day really mean? Because if you look at it as just gestures, then the reality is it doesn't really mean anything. It's great. It's a great Instagram picture, right? It's a great day to propose, much like Christmas. But it's boring to do it on that day. So another thing you can do as a single woman on Valentine's Day is try to remove yourself from social media. Engagements are going to happen, announcements are going to be made, and it will be mushy gushy no matter what. It's going to be one of those periods of times, that weekend, on the day, and the weekends that follow, where it might just be better to take some time away from social media, because social media is one of those things where we can't control all the time quite what we see. We follow our friends. We would want our friends to remain on our social media. However, if they are friends in relationships, chances are there's going to be a story or a post maybe celebrating that. We're going to see that on Facebook as well. There's going to be a variety of different things going on where it feels like it's in your face. So the sensible thing that we can put back into our control without getting annoyed at our friends and being like, well, don't post that, I've just gone through a breakup, because that's never going to work, is to remove ourselves from that situation. Close your accounts down, not close, but pause your accounts if you need to for a week. Apart from getting away from Valentine's Day, it's a really nice thing to do as a break. It's really nice to have that social media cut off and to realise that there is so much more to the world than scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, and so on. You also know that it's very likely that some television channels or services are going to increase the number of romantic films on there too, and it's just worth being aware of little things like that. What are you not going to do? Make sure you've got your watch list sorted before you see all of these rom-coms coming up that you're like, I really could do without that right now. It's all about bringing it back to what can you do. And the alternatives for Valentine's Day are great. It depends how you look at it, but they are great when you really appreciate what you're doing. Other than going out for a meal, which is one version of what I'm about to talk to you next, it's about the fact that Valentine's Day is about love. And whilst it's predominantly love of two people to one another, realistically, Valentine's Day is all about love. And self-love is part of that. You have to sometimes treat yourself when you don't have somebody else to do that. And the reality is that they're treating one another mutually agreed on that day, pretty much. Unless it is going back to traditional styles of the man planning a date for once instead of the woman. Very stereotypical there, I appreciate that. But sometimes that is what couples fall into. You still deserve to show yourself love, care and appreciation on Valentine's Day. And if you're not going to go out there and have a meal to yourself, then do something slightly different to that, but still treat yourself in a way that you wouldn't normally. So for those that were here, I can't remember what month it was in 2021 now, March, April, I created a whole den in this very living room. I got a sheet. The sheet is still on the stairs with the rope bits that I used to pull it up. And I wrapped the fairy lights around it as well. I got popcorn in. I don't know if I ordered a takeaway or not, but I think I treated myself to a nice something from Sainsbury's, like sushi. But in theory, you could order a takeaway in, get the treats, get the snacks, and then I rented a live theatre performance or bought a ticket to a live theatre performance on screen. At the time, we weren't able to go out, hence why it was online. So that's why I opted for a movie night in kind of thing. But that's definitely something that you could do on that small scale. I've never done it since, I'd never done it before, but it was magical. And it was the kind of thing that you would see on Instagram or TikTok where one partner has surprised the other, leading up to an engagement even maybe, with twinkliness. You don't need that to do that for yourself. It was cute. It was fun. I left it up for ages, the old twinkly lights. Another one is just having a pamper evening to yourself. My brother would not be impressed, but I don't do face routines, moisturiser, self-care in that regard. And ever since that, I've now shifted to the gym and I shower at the gym. I very rarely take a bath now, even though that used to be my thing and I used to hate showers. When I'm at the gym, apparently it's a different story because I like to finish off the gym by going into the shower and sort myself out, ready to then get dressed again. But it means that I'm not having that many baths at home. Not a problem. But because of that, it means that having a bath might be something that I could make special. And we don't just mean running a bath and having a few bubbles. Get your favourite drink out. Create yourself a cocktail. Why not? If that's what you like. get candles, grab an actual book. If you haven't done that, you could read one of the ones for the Single Girls Book Club. Do something that, again, takes you away from social media and treats you. It's about making yourself feel special. And I know that these are gestures to yourself, because self-love isn't just about these things. So this is more self-care, I would probably call it. Self-care within that, and a self-treat. I think self-love runs even deeper than I'm talking about. Self-love goes into accepting your flaws, forgiving yourself for all of the mistakes that you made before. And if you want to use Valentine's week to go that deep into love, then I encourage you, by all means. For me, that comes through in meditation, journaling, and inquiry into yourself and your history, which is a lovely thing to do. I don't know if it's the celebration of love that you're quite on the treating yourself element that you quite want to do on Valentine's Day, but it could be. It could be that you want to use this time to get through that heartbreak and the anger that still resides in you. You might want to write it out and burn it and use it as a ceremony. There are so many different ways to look at Valentine's Day and what it means to you. But we don't have to accept that it is only for couples. Valentine's Day can be for absolutely anyone and everyone showing their love to one another. If you haven't already heard of it, there is Galentine's Day, which is on the 13th of February, which is where you show your love for your gal pals, for your friends, and you show that appreciation. You could do that on Valentine's Day. You don't have to go with that newly named reference for the day before. It is worth being aware that you can do that at any point in the year. But for anyone else that is single that you know and interact with, it might be worth sending them a little note, a video message, a card on Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day to tell them how much you appreciate them. We know that we get something when we give. That's how it works. So why would we not treat other people around us that we might know lack that obvious sign of love or, moment of love being declared? You can still love your friends, even if it's not romantic. And Valentine's Day can be a day and an opportunity to do that if you want to. Personally, I'm running a number of events because I know I speak to you guys as single women that are all going to be interested in trying to do things to help yourself, to come together, to make sure that you don't feel alone on Valentine's Day. And so I'm running a few days worth of events titled under Single on Valentine's Day, nice and straightforward, where we'll have an online gathering on the Sunday, a workshop on the Monday and Tuesday, and I'm just waiting to confirm the Wednesday event once I've settled on the idea exactly. But it's the idea that you have options for Valentine's Day, whether you come along to attend one of the events, particularly the Valentine's Day one, which is going to be all about embracing your single life and empowering you to really own it and get through that Valentine's Day without worrying about not being in a relationship. Or if you decide to take time out to treat yourself to a takeaway evening, a movie night, a spa day, or you go out there and you put yourself in the middle of it, hey, go to the cinema on that day as well. Do something that you would do if you were in a relationship, but just with yourself. There's got to be something you want to do that day. Something that you would do if you're in a relationship as a couple, but that you could still do on your own. And if not, there's the opportunity to work with myself and some other single women to kind of embrace and come together and own that single status, which is what all of this is about. That's all it is ever about. I took some time off dating entirely last year and didn't do it. And now I'm back in it. Does that mean I'm unhappy with my single life? No. Does that mean I would like a relationship or be prepared to work on a relationship at the moment? Yes. Does that mean that I'm unhappy with my life? No, not at all. I haven't found or met anyone yet. Okay. There's a key word that I used there, which if you didn't hear it, it was just at the end, yet. Yet is one of the things that is applied when we adopt a growth mindset. So it's like when you're learning to do something, "Oh, I don't know how to do that. I can't do that." But if you add the word yet onto that, it changes the complete meaning of what you've just said. I don't know how to do that yet. I can't do that yet. The yet implies that you will someday. I also am comfortable with the fact that I may not meet someone. The odds are that you should be able to meet someone. Whether it leads to this ultimate end game that people think is marriage and family, I don't know if I believe in that even, because I've been married and I can tell you that it doesn't automatically mean like tick done, successful, happy and finished. Not by any means. And sometimes we're in that trap of that. But am I making the most of my single life? Yes. Is it easy every day? No. It is hard work sometimes, really hard work. The itch of the ear was probably a sign there that it is more awkwardly difficult at times than we even talk about. Especially if you live on your own too. I spoke about loneliness a couple of weeks ago. If you've not heard it, there is YouTube videos now of me talking about single life from my very personal perspective. So rather than being like the podcast like this, where I just share ideas around very specific things I think will be useful to you, I talk about my life and experiences almost as they're happening, maybe a week or two behind. And I spoke about the loneliness element there. It's not easy. I don't think any life scenario is easy. But if you're working through needs and so on, finding your place in the world as a single person is something that you need to have done. It's great to do it in your 20s so that your brain fully matures and you're ready to move into making decisions with a rational mind. But if you haven't done it in that time, like I hadn't, was in relationships until 26, so therefore wasn't operating from the most logical mind that was aware, and I had more experience now, then you have to start somewhere and you've got to do the work to find who you are and what you're doing. We don't have to be bulldozed by Valentine's Day, but we can be proactive in the actions we take around Valentine's Day to celebrate ourselves, to treat ourselves in a way that we would others on Valentine's Day. And we can celebrate love without feeling bombarded by all of the stuff that we're going to see on social media. Because you, as a single woman, are worthy of being celebrated as much as any couple, as any single man, as any other person on this planet. Don't forget who you love this Valentine's Day and share that with them. Write them a message and say, I know it's Valentine's Day, which is mostly for couples, but I just want to say, I love you. You're one of my best friends. Whatever it is that you want to express. I do this at Christmas and birthdays. I've never done it at Valentine's Day per se, but I do express my love and appreciation for my friends at two very distinct points. And if you haven't done it yet, then maybe that's time. So have a little think about how you can make the most of Valentine's Day. The events will be running. There's more information on that. I know by now some of you will be on the mailing list, and maybe you've even purchased your tickets to those workshops and events already. Or think about what you're going to do to treat yourself and make the most of it. It doesn't have to be a devastating day, but it can be therapeutic. It can be something that you show love to yourself and others, and you don't have to get wound up about still being single. Until next time, everybody, keep thriving.